Welcome back to RotoMoto. It is race day again already. The second in 8 days means another low edit video with no face, but that means better audio as I get to use my podcast microphone instead. My name is Donnie, and in this video, I will give you 5 riders to look at when making your PulpMX fantasy picks for the second round in Atlanta, tips for picking FFLs, the weather report, race day schedule, and even a very early look at what my team could be on Tuesday. But first, as always, we look at the stats and info from the previous round just 2 days ago. 10,764 total players, of which 6,243 were of the paid championship league, a massive drop-off from the 12,000 plus that entered Arlington 3. No doubt a perfect storm of 3 weeks off coupled with a daytime event led to a very low number here. The perfect team for the night was again exactly 318, just slightly above average for the season high. Add 30 points with 2 FFLs, and you had a possibility of 348. No one grabbed both here, as literally a single person picked Nate Thrasher for the 250, and somehow 45 people had Aaron Plessinger for it in the 450, no doubt praying for the rain. The median championship score was 188, meaning if you scored 189 or more, you did better than half of the paying field. Extra All-Star selection was down just slightly to 2.57 All-Stars per team. 24 riders out of 28 were able to score double, paired with half of the All-Stars maxing out for a total of 32 riders scoring 26 or more. Another huge batch of 0-point pick trend, a total of 153% pick trend brought home a big fat 0, meaning most players had at least 2 zeros on their team. In the RotoMoto League for the first Atlanta round, Bobby Light 370Z led the way with 278 points on the back of 4 different 42-point riders, bringing him just 8 points back from the league lead behind Benny Wap, who reclaims the top spot in the season standings, sitting at 2,833 with 5 rounds to go. Shame he didn't sign up for Industry Idiots, as he would be sitting in the top 5 right now. I had another rough round, but by the grace of God, am still just barely in the top 500. Jace Owen couldn't hold off a charging Ryan Sipes, and Dean Wilson inexplicably threw away the main event repeatedly in the heat and LCQ. At least I nailed Sipes, Sexton, and Muskin to salvage a 206. The ins and outs list shown here is the same as Atlanta 2, as the same guys missing there are expected to miss here, but keep your eye out for a couple other guys to see if they line up, but there has been no word, no injury report at all. Hardy Muniz did not make it through to the heat after a qualifying mishap, and Benny Bloss and Justin Bogle did the same after practice crashes of their own in the 450 class. Also be sure to leave Max Anstey off of your early team and make sure he looks okay in practice after his main event crash with Vince Freeze. All right, on to your Atlanta 2 picks. I have 3 guys to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap guy for you gamblers out there. Starting with the little class and working our way up. Your 250 All-Star, again, should probably be either Cameron McAdoo or Justin Cooper, whoever you didn't pick last week, but that's not much of a tip. So I want you to look at Garrett Marchbanks. His handicap rose to 6 after his 14th place finish, but when you look closer at the numbers, he was absolutely flying. He started second and ran in front of Cooper and McAdoo until 3 laps to go when he ran into trouble and went down. He had the 4th fastest average lap time in the class and the 2nd absolute fastest single lap, just a 10th off of race winner Nate Thrasher. He had finished top 7 in every other round but this one and should rebound to his previous form. The rider I want you to stay away from this week is the real baby chiz, Cedric Soubeyras. He's about as lock of a higher handicap can be, but there is just absolutely no upside to this pick, much like the real Kyle Chisholm. His best finish is 15th and his worst finish is 18th while going to the LCQ 3 times. His biggest kryptonite is at the start, where half of the time he starts worse than 18th, and at a 6 handicap, there is just not enough value here to justify this pick. Onto the 450s, looking at an all-star, it's hard to look past Aaron Plessinger. Even after going down, he still managed to finish 6th and secure double points. Since his podium at Daytona, he has been top 5 in each of his heat races, winning twice, with an average main event start of 6.8 and an average finish of 5.8, which leaves plenty of leverage against a 6 handicap. A double point eligible 450 rider to keep your eye on is Vince Freeze. He was running 7th after an amazing start when Max Anstey lost traction in front of him, causing them both to go down, finishing 21st and 22nd respectively. If you have not seen Vince's POV GoPro footage, check RotoMoto on Instagram. I have the entire clip up for you guys to see. Both riders are someone to look at for Tuesday, but Vince is the safer play of the two. He remounted the bike immediately after the crash where Anstey stayed on the ground. In the last 4 races before the incident, Vince's average finish position was 12.5, which should lead to an easy 30 or more points. The high handicap hero of the round given to a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think has a very realistic chance to score massive points this weekend if you're the type of person that likes to sweat out a little LCQ for a big payout. The Triple H for this round is Justin Starling. The Privateer 450 rider was 5th in the LCQ after making the previous 2 mains. He started the first lap 2.3 seconds out of 4th and crossed the finish line just over 1 second out of that qualifying spot. With main event finishes of 17th and 20th in the last 3 rounds, he clearly belongs in that group with A-Ray, Clayson, and Bowers and can bring a good share of points to anyone willing to take a chance on him here. The 250 FFL was another completely impossible, unlikely breakout rookie, proving once again that this year the FFL gamble is just wild. Thrasher is the 5th in 6 races, 3 of them rookies, with Justin Cooper the only guy to do it twice. Would obviously avoid, but with the track conditions looking more typical, I think the usual suspects will find themselves up front on Tuesday. In the 450 class, another first-timer with Aaron Plessinger pulling his first ever FFL and the 8th different rider this season. Cooper Webb still remains the favorite as the only guy with 3, but Roxon, Tomek, and Barsha all have more than 1 and could be likely picks as well. The weather is going to be much, much better than the weekend, sunny and in the 80s for the day with minimal wetness or precipitation. The heat races will go on while the sun is still up, but will have set before the main events for a classic night race in this open air stadium. The race day schedule is your standard East Coast fare with race day live at 1 p.m. on the East Coast and local, with the West Coast needing to tune in at 10 a.m. to catch race day live with Blair and Hubbard. The enhanced cheat sheet will hit Patreon about 30 minutes after qualifying ends at nearly 5 p.m., while the rest of you should watch Twitter and Instagram for the basic cheat sheet to drop around 5:30 or 6 p.m. The night show kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on the Peacock app, but NBCSN will feature a delayed broadcast, meaning cable viewers will be forced to wait an additional 3 hours to watch, starting at 10 p.m. Immediately following the 450 podium ceremony, you are welcome to join us right back here on YouTube for the RotoMoto After Show program, a 1-hour live show where I field your questions and comments in real time and we can come down from the race high together, break down the scores, stats, and best moments of the race. Before I show you my early team for Atlanta 2, I just wanted to remind you that this is an entirely privateer operation. I research, write, shoot, edit, and post every single video myself, in addition to making the cheat sheets and other content I post on here, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to support me and help the channel grow, please consider checking out some of the merch from RotoMoto.co, including our super rad Never Change AMA shirt that was recently featured on the PulpMX show. If you are serious about upping your fantasy game, consider subscribing to Patreon for access to an additional podcast for every race, our private Discord server, and most importantly, the enhanced cheat sheets that are packed full of so much race day data, it'll really make your head spin. And if you want to support but you don't have the scratch to spare, the easiest way to help is by subscribing to the channel, commenting something constructive on the video, and sharing the social media post with your friends. My Monday morning team will consist of 250 All-Star Justin Cooper at a 2. I will always take a red plate at a 2 or more handicap. I'm going to add in Robbie Wageman's 8 handicap, which could be worth a ton with his top 10 to 12 potential. Give me factory Yamaha rider Jarrett Fry. Anytime you can get a factory guy with a handicap this big, you have to take it. And rounding out my 250 squad is another 7 handicap with Dominique Thury, who has made 3 consecutive mains and has managed to dodge the LCQ in the last 2. On the 450 side, I'm looking at Justin Barsha for my All-Star at a 5 handicap after he has finished in the top 6 over half of his starts this season. I want Vince Freeze for the reason mentioned above. Cade Clayson, again, it's hard not to pick a guy who has made 4 of the last 6 mains and still has a double-digit handicap. In my final spot, I want to be Max Anstey, but until I see him ride on Tuesday, I'm going to instead pencil in Mitchell Oldenburg, who has lost a good bit of value, but is still pickable at a 6. Don't forget to follow at RotoXMoto on Twitter and Instagram for qualifying insights, injury reports, stats, and banner as the race goes on, and of course, those ever-important fantasy cheat sheets. And if you want even more help making your picks, be sure to check out and subscribe to RotoMoto on Patreon for access to the enhanced cheat sheet chock full of more data than you can imagine to help you make those huge point picks. I want to give a shout out to the current Patreon supporters. This channel is made possible by good people like Vaughn C, Michael T, and Cora L. Thank you so much for watching RotoMoto. My name is Donnie, and I will see you on race day.